Hello and welcome to another video. Have you been considering buying either the AG Recoil or the AG Curl Fresh Definer and you're not sure which one to get and you don't know what the differences are? Then just keep watching. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm a licensed hairstylist with over 20 years of experience, and on this channel I use those 20 years of experience to help you have healthy, happy hair. So I'm going to be doing a side-by-side comparison between the AG Recoil and the AG Curl Fresh Definer so that you can see how each one of them looks. And I'm going to be talking about the differences as I use them and how they feel as I'm applying them to my hair. I'm going to be keeping the rest of my products that I'm using in my hair down to a minimum. I will still be using a hold product just because neither one of these is enough to give me any kind of hold all on its own. So I am going to be using the AG Mousse Gel for a hold product. And then the only other product that I'm going to be putting in my hair is going to be the Evolve Wonder Balm Magic for Curls. I'll be applying this to my hair after I have finished diffusing it to scrunch out the crunch. I think I'm going to do the AG Recoil on this side of my head and I'm going to do the AG Curl Fresh Definer on this side. Let's just go ahead and get started applying these products. As you can see, I've kind of sectioned my hair out. I have this side kind of just pulled off to the side here and out of the way so that I can focus on the application on this side. And we're just gonna go ahead and get started with the AG Recoil. And I'm gonna do very, very small amounts. I am going to apply this section by section. I don't always do AG Recoil section by section because it is very, very concentrated, and as you can see, once it's emulsified, like there's a lot of product there, and you can put this product in, it disappears from your hands. However, as soon as you re-emulsify, more appears. So this a little bit goes a really, really long way with this, which is why most of the time I tend to apply this in much larger sections. So I'll still apply it in sections. I'll do like one side of my head and then the other side of my head versus applying it in smaller sections like this, just because it's really easy to get too much product with the recoil. And sometimes when you get too much of the recoil in your hair, it can leave kind of a gritty feeling behind. So that's why I like to apply it in larger sections, and it's a lot easier to keep it from going overboard too quickly. And usually the reason why I like to apply it in sections is because I like to make sure that I ensure even distribution, but I find that really isn't a problem with the AG Recoil if I do just one side and then the other, and then I brush through it to evenly distribute. I do find that I get fairly even distribution that way, and then I don't get way too much product. But I am deciding to do it this way, section by section, and then just using teeny tiny amounts with each section, which I have done before as well. And I'm just doing this to demonstrate it, a different way to do it, because I have used AG Recoil in probably, I think, one of my Shop My Stash curly combos, or maybe it was in a subscribers combo video that I did. I can't really remember. I might have to look for that and then just put a card up here so you can check it out. So I have applied it in other videos that way where I've used the much larger sections, but I'm going to go ahead and do it section by section in this video just to show you the different way of doing it, and that you can still do it this way if you want to. Just be really mindful about how much you're putting in there so that you're not using too much. And once I get the AG Recoil in there, or any curl cream, I do kind of bring it up and give a little bit of a squeeze. I don't really aggressively scrunch or anything like that because that can cause frizz. So I just like to bring it up and give it a squeeze just to kind of encourage the curls to start to form. And moving on to the next section, still using just a small amount. And I'm also applying to hair that is really wet. So if I need to add more water to my hair as I'm moving along, I do have a spray bottle right here so that I can make sure that my hair is wet while I'm applying it. I do find that the recoil works a lot better when I apply it to wetter hair versus drier hair or even just slightly damp hair. Most of the time I do like to style with really wet hair, but there are some products where it needs to be a little bit wetter and other products where it works a little bit better if it's not as wet. And now the recoil does have some slip to it. It doesn't have as much slip as some other curl creams that I have and use, but it does have some decent slip. I'm able to glide the brush right on through. And the Recoil has some nice stick to it, meaning that the hair really sticks together nicely and it really helps to form some good clumps. The other thing that the Recoil has is the magnesium sulfate in there, and that is usually used as kind of a curl activating or curl enhancing ingredient because it does help to shrink the bonds in the hair, which will help those curls kind of really spring up. And I do really enjoy using the Recoil for that reason. I like that it gives me some nice bouncy, springy, defined curls that are nicely clumped. And last section, and small amount yet again. And I'm just continuing on with the brush styling through the top of my hair, taking sections that are kind of vertical, maybe even slightly at an angle. I don't really worry about making sure that they're straight. In fact, I don't really want them to be straight because that's gonna really show up after it dries. You'll kind of see those lines in there, and I don't really want that. And then you'll also see I have some foam on here from this curl cream, and that is something that I do notice with the Recoil more so than a lot of other curl creams, is that it does kind of foam up. And if it's doing a ton of foaming, like you have shampoo in your hair, you might have a little too much Recoil in there. But if it's doing a little bit of foaming, it's actually a decent amount. So that is the Recoil all applied, and you can see my curls starting to form and springing up and nicely defined. Moving on to the Curl Fresh definer side, so I have now sectioned this off. I also rinsed off my brush because it did have foam from the Recoil on it, and I don't want to mix the Recoil with this cream. So I did rinse that off. So one thing I'm going to point out is this is a brand new tube of the Curl Fresh definer. I have my old one right here, and you can hear that it's literally a liquid. And so I've been thinking that this just can't be right, and I've mentioned it in other videos where I've used it, and when I reviewed it, I did do a video reviewing just that, and I kept thinking that it couldn't possibly be right. It's in a squeezy tube, and it basically runs out like it's water, so I do have a new one right here, and this one seems to be a little bit better because I can actually show you this. It is still kind of running. It's got like a lotiony type consistency, but with the other one, it's so watery that if I were to hold my hand up and show that to you, it would just drip all over onto the floor. So I'm starting off with a small amount of this as well. After applying, just brush through to evenly distribute. And this is another one where you really don't need a whole lot either. However, you don't wind up with that gritty feeling that you're gonna get from the Recoil. And right away, the big thing that I noticed with the definer versus the Recoil is this one has much more slip to it. So the brush is gliding through so much easier on this side than what it did on the Recoil side. And that's not anything bad with the Recoil. Like I said, you are able to brush through it with no problem. It's just, that is one of the big differences that I'm noticing right away, is this side has a lot more slip. And then this side also has some nice stick to it as well, and it is clumping and defining. However, it doesn't have as much stick to it as the other side. And by stick, I just mean like the hair likes to stick together. Not to be confused with sticky, neither one of these are sticky. It's just that the hair tends to kind of stick together, clump together, and become a little bit more defined. And I'm noticing the Recoil has more of that than this side does. On to the next section. So we've got this much for that section. Because this is a little bit thinner and doesn't have that drag, it's got a little bit more slip than the Recoil, I am working with my hair a little less wet than what I did with the Recoil. And now this one actually has a bit of hold to it, which is why some people can use this as a one and done. And I think it was kind of advertised as a one and done because of the soft hold that it has to it. I will never be a one and done type person. And when I did try this out as a one and done product, it was not enough for my hair. I just didn't get enough hold out of it. And I much prefer to just use it as a curl cream and layer over the top of it with something that does have hold. But that is something to keep in mind if you're trying to determine which one of these creams that you want. That this one, I would say, definitely has a soft hold to it. I think some people can kind of get some hold out of the Recoil, but I wouldn't really consider it to have hold. I consider it more of a curl enhancing and defining product more than anything that offers hold. So that would be one of the big differences as well. And a smaller amount because I have just this small little strip left up here. Emulsify and apply. And with both of these, I do want them at my roots because I do want to get some definition up there. And when it comes to the AG Recoil, I definitely want the curl enhancing properties up at my roots to help encourage some root curl. I just don't start off by putting it at the roots and running it through. I kind of start a couple inches away from my roots and run it through, and then with whatever's left on my hands, I'll kind of put it up at the roots. And then when I brush to distribute, I start brushing kind of a couple of inches away as well. And that does help to further distribute the product. And then I'll bring it up closer to my roots. So then that way, whatever product I'm picking up from my mid-links and my ends, I'm bringing some of it up there as well. But it's only bringing a small amount of product up there. And that ensures that I do get the benefits of those products, but I'm not overdoing it at the roots because you don't want to get too much product up at your roots and weigh your hair down, nor do you want it to kind of create a greasy looking mess up there, especially if you're like me and you have very oily scalp. As those oils come out, they will mix with product up there and then you get kind of a sticky, oily mess. So I find that keeping the product at your roots down to a minimum kind of helps avoid all of those things. And gently scrunching yet again. Now that I have both products applied, let's take a look at the wet results. So you can see I've got some curl definition on both sides and my hair is starting to curl up. I would have to say I see a little bit more root curl with the Recoil side than what I do on this side. And I do actually see a little bit of wet frizz starting here and there, because it doesn't stick together nearly as well as the Recoil. And over here, I just really don't have any of that going on. I do feel like my hair is clumped together better on this side and that it's sticking together better and not separating, versus this side. I do feel like this side is a little bit more, I don't really know how to describe it, but it doesn't feel as held together as this side does. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just an observation that I'm noticing. So now it's time to go ahead and put my hold product in, and I am gonna go ahead and put in my AG Mousse Gel. I could have just as easily put any other hold product in my hair, like maybe the AG Liquid Effects, which is a very liquidy gel that I like as well. Or I could have used the Biolage Gelée. There's any number of products that I could have used. I just haven't used this mousse in a while, and I really do like it. And it does have a lot of really nice hold, and it helps with volume. The other reason why I like it is because it will help to kind of continue with the definition and clumping that I already have with what I've got in my hair. And then I'm just gonna do the same thing on the other side and just run it over to kind of get it distributed, and then start to scrunch in. And I do make sure that I get some up at the top, but as you can see, not a whole lot up there. Just enough to get some hold, some definition, but not so much that it's going to be really producty up there or weigh my hair down. Although with mousse, you don't really have to worry about it weighing your hair down a whole lot. Most mousses are really good at giving the hair a lot of volume. That's the product application done, so I'm gonna go ahead and diffuse my hair, and I'll be back and show you what it's looking like. Now that my hair is dry, let's go ahead and take a closer look at what's going on. And I actually think I have a bit more frizz on this side than I do on this side. I have to look behind you because that's where my mirror is. But yeah, I think I actually have a little bit more frizz over here. You can see a bunch right up here, and I don't have it so much over here. It's frizz from that side. So that is one of the things that I'm noticing. And then I do have some root curl on both sides. I actually just think that I have a little bit more definition and root curl on this side versus this side. And probably, maybe, I don't know, as far as definition everywhere else, I think the definition is looking about the same. So let's just go ahead and put in the Evolve Wonder Balm, and just a partial pump is all I need of this. And I'm just gonna go ahead and smooth it on over, and that should help tame some of the frizz that I have, especially up here on the top. And now there really isn't a cast in here at all. Maybe a little bit here and there on the ends, but not much. It's a really, really soft cast, and the mousse gel doesn't usually give me much of a cast, if any at all, so I'm not surprised there. But I wasn't really going for a cast. The whole point is actually just to compare like what each of these curl creams does, and just kind of show you the results. So, and that's why I didn't really want to use a ton of different products in my hair, so then that way you could just really see the results from each of these creams. But I did have to put something else in there because there's no way that the creams would have performed very well on their own in my hair, and I already know this because I've already tried with both of them. Here's my hair scrunched and fluffed, and let's take a close look at both sides now that we've scrunched everything in and whatever little, very little cast there was is gone. And then I gave both sides a really good fluff, and as you can see, I do still have more frizz on this side than I do on this side, and I'm trying to kind of put it up against the lighter color wall back there so you can see. And then this side, you can kind of see a little bit more frizz sticking out over the top. And then I have kind of some weird spots like this over here on this side that I really don't have over on the other side. So there's that. I would have to say when it comes to frizz control and then the clumping and definition, that the Recoil side definitely looks better than the other side. This side, I definitely have some more frizz. But as far as like curl enhancing, even though the Recoil has the magnesium sulfate, which definitely enhances curls, I do feel like this side, I've got some really nice curls going on over here. They're nice and springy and bouncy, which, you know, it's very similar to what we've got going on over here with the Recoil. And then even though this side, the Curl Fresh Definer side, has a little bit more frizz than the Recoil side, it's still not a problem. And I think if I were to do my normal layering of products where I add probably a few more things, that would probably help to tame that down a little bit. Because what I'd probably do is put a gel in between the cream application and the mousse. So I might do the Liquid Effects gel over the top of the curl cream and then do the mousse gel after that, because that's just how I do things. I really like layering for that reason, versus just using a couple of products like this, because then I'm far more likely to have results kind of more like this. So layering would probably help with that, or even using some of the Aquage working spray, which I do tend to also spray onto my hair just before diffusing. I think that probably would have helped as well. But overall, I would have to say I'm really happy with both sides. I do really like both sides. Like I said, I do think that the Recoil side is a little bit more defined, a little less frizzy. But other than that, I do think that there's not a whole lot of difference between both sides. I do have great curls on both sides, and they are nicely enhanced also on both sides. So I really like the results of both. But while I like both sides and I'm happy with both sides, I have to say I like the Recoil side just a little bit better. Let me know in the comments below which side you happen to like better. And then also in the comments down below, let me know if this video helped you to make a decision between one cream or the other. Hopefully this video answered all those questions for you and gave you some nice visual results in order for you to make that decision. And if you liked this video, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.